So I am like the stereotypical American in this scenario. I do not know this team. I do not know any of these players. I barely know any soccer players. So I just checked out the new Hulu show Welcome to Wrexham, which is a documentary made by Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds about a venture they both took to purchase one of the worst soccer teams in Europe and attempt to turn them into champions. Now, I was already a big fan of Rob McElhenney. I own almost every single season of Always Sunny. I've seen every single episode of that show probably way too many times. So when I saw he was involved with this show, I was already all in. And I heard a few years ago about him purchasing this soccer team. And before we go any further, that's right, we're calling it soccer because as it stands right now, the dollar is worth more than the euro. So it's flipped, all right, Europe, it's flipped back, it's called soccer now. Anyway, I remember him getting into this venture and it was interesting, but I had no idea that they were planning to turn the entire process into a documentary. Full disclosure, I really do not follow the world of soccer at all. I went to London several years ago and it was crazy just how big of a part of the culture that sport really is. Over here in America, it's not quite as mainstream, so I don't know too much about it. I certainly don't follow the different leagues. One of the things that's interesting about this documentary so far is that Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds also did not follow soccer, like at all. Throughout the beginning of this show, you're learning with them about how all of these systems work. That being said, I think if you are a fan of soccer, this is also going to appeal to you just because this is a massive underdog story. One of the most interesting aspects of this show so far, and one of the things I did not know about Wrexham, aside from the fact that they exist, I had literally no clue, but it was a team that is owned seemingly by the fan base. And so in order to purchase the team, Rob and Ryan had to actually interview with the fans of the Wrexham club. I've always thought one of the greatest things about sports is that it brings so much unity between people that literally know nothing about each other, have never met, and the one unifying factor is that you both root for the same team. And this Wrexham team means so much to the people in this town. But at the same time, the people in this town want the team to be good. And so when Rob and Ryan are approved to buy this team, there is a crazy amount of hype and excitement, but at the same time, you start to notice that potentially this lovable loser mentality might be shifting for the better or maybe for the worse. Now, I say that because it's impossible to watch this show and not at least acknowledge that from the beginning, this is a documentary. Like, while they're interviewing to purchase the team, they're recording the conversations and telling everybody that this is going to be part of a documentary. And I love Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds is great, but it is interesting to see that there is some motivation behind this, and not that there's like a corporate feel to what they're doing, but they are taking a team that potentially might have been just everybody kind of enjoying where they were at, and they're turning it into a real business because they want the team to do well and they want to succeed. But in that, it means that a lot of the people and the players involved on this team might not be around to see that vision come to fruition because they're going to want better players, they're going to want better coaches. Now, as somebody that did not know anything about Wrexham, it is fascinating to see just the massive financial disparity between players in the Premier League, which is the top league in soccer, all the way down to the National League where Wrexham plays, where they are making barely, above the equivalent of like $30,000 to $40,000 per year. Now, that may be enough for the general cost of living and for them to support their families, but in order to rise up through the ranks and get to the Premier League and start actually winning championships, it's going to require a lot more sacrifice. I do want to point out that the way this documentary is shot, edited, everything about it is absolutely phenomenally well done. It is so high quality. It's incredibly engaging, especially for somebody like me who really only knows Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. So I am like the stereotypical American in this scenario. I do not know this team. I do not know any of these players. I barely know any soccer players. I think Ronaldo's still playing. I think Lionel Messi is still playing. And I look like this guy who apparently is playing soccer right now called Mo Salah. Now, initially, I thought that this show was going to be more for people who were just fans of those two celebrities, and I'm a big fan of Rob McElhenney, so I decided to give the show a shot. But after watching the first couple episodes, I gotta say, I think whether or not you know anything about soccer, love it, hate it, whether or not you know who Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds are, this is such a compelling underdog story and a compelling fish out of water story for two Hollywood celebrities. It is so fascinating to watch how things develop and watch just how invested they get beyond the financial investment, because at the end of the day, they both want this team to succeed, and the town wants this team to succeed so badly because at one point they were incredibly popular and all their games were being televised, and the people in that town want to see that team reclaim some amount of the glory that it used to have. Welcome to Wrexham is incredibly well done. I am definitely all in on wherever this series is going. I cannot wait to see what comes next. The first 2 episodes are up on Hulu, and I highly recommend you give this show a chance.